We are live.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Weekly dose of weird, back at it again with another episode.
What's today's topic, Scott?
Uh, you know, uh, Something that's very big in the media so often. More recent than others. But we're gonna be talking about reptilians.
What's the one conspiracy that you're focused and locked on? Like, if somebody came up to you out of nowhere and said, "Hey, man, tell me about reptilians." What's the one conspiracy you can just say, "Hey, this is what you need to go look for"?
Uh, oh, if you're trying to like get information on it, or you wanna know where to start, my boy David Icke.
David Icke. So that's
David Icke.
that's your go-to.
I would definitely point in that direction. If you guys know who David Icke is or don't know who he is, stay tuned. We have a little bit of information on our boy David Icke and what he's all about for sure.
That's what we're talking about today. What's up, everybody on the Twitch stream?
Twitch.
Weekly Dose of Weird. We're here. Go ahead, give us a shout out. Let us know what you think about the content that we're showing you today. If you have any comments, anything you want to say, just let us know.
Yeah.
Also, in the comments section down below, go ahead, put what you might want to hear in the future, how you feel about the show, what we could talk about, what we're not talking about. These are all important things. So just go ahead, hit that like button, notification, subscribe, all the good stuff, because we're here, Weekly Dose of Weird, and today's episode is Reptilians. So, getting into the first one, are you, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, everybody is, Ancient Aliens.
Yeah. I think we did that on one of our shows recently.
We're going to bring Ancient Aliens up a lot.
Ancient Aliens, they're goats when it comes to this stuff, man.
Well, they can get all over the place sometimes, because
They
you
can.
do have to remember it's a show, and the longer the show could keep running, they're going to start reaching for material.
But man, it's so good. It's
a wonderful, it's a well put together show. The visuals, the audio, the interviews, everything's well put together.
It's really good.
So we are going to be using a lot of their content only because of the visuals and information that they give us.
Yes.
So we're going to switch over, and the first one we're going to review is Ancient Aliens' take on reptilians. Here we go. Weekly Dose of Weird. Reptilians, my bad. Let's get it started.
Hove, England, 2008. In the middle of the night, 20-year-old Charmaine de Rosario Sage is sleeping in bed when she awakens to a frightening sight. A reptilian humanoid staring down at her.
Okay.
A reptilian came.
Reptilians are aliens?
The point I was about to get to is because I've had my own experience, but I'm not going to talk about that. We're going to save that for the exact episode where it's appropriate for me to talk about the experiments or the experience. Sleep paralysis.
Oh.
It's like this lady here, she's asleep, and then bam, these things come. So it's like
Yeah, I got a story about that.
What can we go ahead and like put our chips in on the table this early in the game? Can we say something as far as interdimensional shape shifting? Because in the unconscious realm, while you're sleeping, for them to be able to invade that,
Right.
that's now we're outside of the box.
Yeah, no, that it is definitely complex when no one has a lot of information on sleep paralysis anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So no one knows for 100% that what you experience during this paralysis is either real or not.
Well,
And that's
to me,
the-
it
that-
felt
that-
real.
It's
Very
always
real.
nine
More
times
real
out of
than
10.
real.
It always feels real.
More real than real. But let's get back to this.
Yeah.
Let's not get sidetracked. Let's get back to this.
We went to an underground cave.
Charmaine.
There was a group of reptilians there, and they stood around me in a circle. Each one of them put one hand on my body, and I slowly changed. And it was the most amazing, but also sort of bizarre situation to look down at your body and see it morph from your human form into a reptilian form. To see the skin shift from being smooth into scales, and to find that I had a tail.
Could
Yeah, that's
Charmaine's
wild.
incredible story be true? Was she really transformed into a reptilian human hybrid? Charmaine claims She learned from her abductors that all humans today are byproducts of alien genetic manipulation, some more than others.
At certain points in our history,
What do you think about that story?
I mean, I've heard similar stories. Heard similar stories about the splicing of human DNA. You know, uh, it just gives you a bunch of questions. Are aliens reptilian?
Could be.
Are they interdimensional beings?
Could be.
Are we were we a science experiment to where they did give us our some of their DNA to where we could do what they needed us to do? Maybe
Could be.
isn't that's the same story? I mean, off topic a little bit, but the Anunnaki and stuff like that, didn't
Mhm.
they?
Well, it
They
says
were
that
mining
they were.
gold, and
Yeah,
they.
it says that we were created as a slave race because they didn't want to do the work.
So it says some similar.
What do you, as far as like putting levels out there, putting your own opinion out there, because it's always good to have our own opinion on something. What do
Right.
you feel as far as that? Because me personally, I subscribe to the Bible and I believe what the Bible says, and but you have these other text all over the world about creation. I mean, and as far as the reptilian theory goes, I mean, what is your stance, Scotty? What is your stance on reptilians being involved in creation
All right,
without
so
getting too wild?
without getting too wild, I would say, that in a nutshell, we'll get to it on another show, but they're demonoids or demonic entities,
Okay.
you know, that are able to manipulate and uh, do act as a god, right? Recreating
Lowercase g God.
lowercase g god, being able to mimic some of the miracles of the Most High, and this is why
Scotty, I would have to agree with you on that
yeah,
one.
yeah, I'm definitely
We are in
big
agreement
on it.
here.
But don't get it twisted. I am very, very into what would this be? Sci-fi type deal.
Well, not so much sci-fi. I mean, reptilians have been used in sci-fi, Star Trek.
Right?
There's all types of shows where they have reptilians. I think there's one called V. It's an older show. It's called V.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I've never seen that show. I heard of that show, but it was about reptilians taking over the
Yeah.
government or the world or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
The
yeah.
Inside Job from Netflix, which we're gonna show something, but let's just jump back and see what else they got to say as far as Ancient Alien goes. Let's see.
different ET races have come to this planet, and they have not manipulated all of humanity, but certain groups.
The reason and agenda for alien intelligences to be on this planet manipulating humans
In the
and
mold
animals
now.
She looks like a
is because
reptilian.
out there between different types of intelligences about territory, and that those territorial wars involve populations of created and manipulated life.
If reptilian extraterrestrials have inhabited Earth for thousands of years, are they content to continue hiding out underground? Or is the day fast approaching where they will step out of the
See, there's a bunch of like underground, subterranean structures all over the world. Do you think that has something to do with reptilians?
Man, I wouldn't doubt it. They're finding new ecosystems in caves nowadays.
Right. I think that's what we're looking at right here on the screen.
Uh, you know, it's mind-gasming. Is that a word? Mind-gasming?
I don't believe it is, but it could
It
be.
is today. Mind-gasming.
Mindgasm.
Look it up.
It's a mindgasm.
We got to put the ing at the end of it.
Mindgasming.
Yeah, mind-gasming.
Okay.
Now, but yeah, they find these caves and it's like a whole new world ecosystem. They're finding new, species in these deep end caves, like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I think, man, there's so many, but
But
off the
you're
top of my head, I can't pull the names up. I think it's Darren. No, not Darren Cooey. There's a bunch of underground, like subterranean in
yeah.
the Middle East. There's a lot of them.
Hey, real quick, I know we're watching this, but you remember that episode of South Park when they're talking about Scientology
Yeah.
and how this alien species, or I don't know if it was alien or reptilian species, was fighting over Earth? Like they gave a brief,
You mean the
not
one where they talk about the theory or
yeah,
what
where the
Scientology
aliens
believes? They go like their
aliens
spirits went
were
down into a volcano and blew up and came out the
was it that? I
volcano.
thought they spoke about how like alien race was going into a war or something like that.
South Park is wild though.
It might have been a different episode where they were
It
talking
could have
about it,
been.
but
It could have been.
anyway,
Yeah.
we'll
We
revisit this
digress.
after this video.
The shadows had announced their presence once again.
The Christians are waiting for the return of Jesus. The Jews
Hallelujah.
are waiting for the return of the Messiah. The Islamic community is waiting for the return of Muhammad. The idea of this return did not originate with any of those religious figures, but it in fact originated with the promise by extraterrestrials that they would return in the future.
Tradition tells us that the army of the Messiah is not to come from heaven, but is to arise from inner earth and therefore dominate the surface world.
Perhaps we are now at this special turning point in our history and the timeline of planet Earth where the reptilians and the other extraterrestrials will announce themselves.
You know, ancient aliens always got, you know, I mean, they're always out there, bro. They're always out there. So, what do you think about, just in a nutshell, man? What's your overall take, man?
If I'm we're entertaining the idea.
We're entertaining
Right?
ideas. That's what
I
we're
have to
doing.
say that because if sometimes I'll get too into it and then I'll say something and people are like, "You really believe that, don't you?" And it's like I don't believe it, but the idea is great. And yeah, I do like the idea of there being a center Earth population of reptilians. I do like the idea of them, being within our vicinity. I mean, they're all over history itself.
Do you think that we've coexisted, like this version of us as humans? Do you think that if there was reptilians, do you think we have maybe at one time coexisted with each other?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think there's actually proof of that, which what I'm about to get into. So the
Hey,
name.
I believe humans walked with dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, not on this episode, but we're gonna get to
Yeah.
that. I got a spicy one for that one as
Yeah.
far as
scientists. When I was growing up, I don't know what they're saying now, but yeah, when we were growing up, no human was alive during the dinosaur.
no, there's this
Dinosaur.
big like 100 million plus gap in
And,
years as far as humans and dinosaurs.
And I found it crazy too. I don't know. I think it was dinosaur wasn't even a word back in the day.
Probably not.
It was the only word that was in reference to any creature of that stature was a dragon. Dragon is the only
Right.
one. So it just makes you wonder a few things.
Right.
So
Well,
what are we about to get into?
what
right
I'm
now?
about to get into, let me give a little context before we jump into it. So they found these statues, and I believe it's pronounced Ubaid, Ubaid, and this is
Ubaid.
in ancient Mesopotamia, which would be Iraq, so Iran, Iraq area. And these statues are humanoid in
Mhm.
figure, and by humanoid I mean standing upright, 2 legs, 2 arms, but the head reptilian. A majority of it, they have like these weird like nodules that's on them.
Yeah.
Can't really explain it, but we're gonna jump into the video that way you guys can see exactly what we're talking about. And voila. What is this? Can you take this? Okay, so wait a minute.
They really
So,
found these?
Yeah, they found these. They dug these up. They found these. And this was in Samaria, which you mentioned earlier, where they have a lot of these mythologies about creation.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
And this one, you could kind of say, okay, he's got the classic, elongated skull, which was really big. Which, man, I can't wait to jump into that episode when we get there. But it has this classic conical shaped head, right? Which would go for the, which would make sense. A lot of the headdresses back then, to cover that big head. And then it has the eyes here, which they do look a little chameleon like, right? But it's this one right here,
Yeah, that one's more defined as like
more
look at
viper looking.
you definitely look at that one and be like, oh yeah, like snake or some type of lizard.
And I'm gonna say she because it has right here, which they'll get into,
Looks
a
like
child.
a child. Yeah,
And the child is it's breastfeeding.
I can definitely see that.
And so we all know from science and from us being human that mammals breastfeed,
Right.
not reptilians. So what is going on?
Well,
man?
yeah.
So what's going on here? I mean, you can even see some small genitalia here. I mean, reproductive genitalia, right? So I mean, what's going on with this? And why would somebody, were they just coming up with this? Were they just using their imagination 7,000 years ago, or were they depicting what they actually saw?
You know what?
Is this blowing your brain, Scotty?
It's because I realized yesterday. Well, not yesterday. A few days ago, I was our episode with Crocs, right? Crocodiles, alligators. Remember that episode?
Okay, yeah. How can I
All right.
forget?
So, did you know that crocs and alligators aren't really even considered reptilian?
What are they considered?
They're more in the family of chickens.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we should have talked about that on
Yeah.
that episode.
yeah. But that tells, like, in reference to this, where when you're saying mammals
Mhm.
breastfeed,
Okay.
right? But this reptilian or this humanoid species is breastfeeding.
It's breastfeeding.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if our idea is like we see an alligator, I'm like, oh, that's a reptile,
Hmm.
right? But
But do you think just by this image here, because we haven't even gotten to the video, we're just kind of riffing off of what we're
Yeah.
looking at, right? But do you think that this image here would lean more on the side of a merger between the two,
oh, for sure, for
right?
sure.
Right? Because that's what I'm getting. So
They got some mean shoulders, though. You see those things?
I mean, extremely
imagine getting hit?
wide. I mean, I don't know if that's just the builder or whoever was making this figurine here.
And what do they make that out of? Is that what, some type of ivory or something?
Well, Samaria, I don't know if these are clay. They could be clay.
It looks really smooth and
They were really big on mud bricks and making things out of clay. The cuneiform tablets that they wrote on, well, they didn't write. They used a triangle wedge.
right.
All that was clay, and they just fired it up and hardened it so it
So you
lasted.
think this is clay?
It could be. I mean, they'll probably tell us. So we're gonna shut up for a little bit, and we're gonna let you guys be the judge of what you see.
Right.
I first came across these bizarre-looking ancient statuettes
That
in the
one's a
British
little different.
Museum. Terracotta figurines with a slender human body, sometimes with a suckling child, sometimes holding a staff or scepter, and sometimes with their hands on their navel. But they all had this bizarre reptilian elongated head. These figurines generally date to the 5th millennium BC, created by the Ubaid culture of Mesopotamia, and, of course, they have been put forward as evidence for ancient aliens.
This headdress, in ancient Samaria, you see that a lot. They usually have like these things that wind around the top, and they kind of look like horns a little bit.
Yeah.
But they extend very tall, very very tall. Ancient Egypt, we see this a lot. These long, elongated parts. This damn thing just looks like a viper. Drift.
Distinctive coffee bean eyes and elongated heads is why they are often referred to as lizard people. Bitumen was also used to show their hair a crown or headdress, and the decoration we see on the various examples may represent tattoos or jewellery. They are visually captivating. Nobody can deny that. I remember staring into a display cabinet for a long time, taking in the details and taking photographs, but when I went to research what these statuettes actually were, I remember having to wade through so many ancient alien theories before actually finding something historical and helpful. Of course, there are no written sources from the Ubaid period, which is one of the reasons why such statuettes are so open to interpretation.
All right. So this right here is a map of the Ubaid culture, 5900 to 4300 BC, because they go backwards.
Right. Yeah.
It's more of like a countdown, right? So at that time, these are the settlements that they believe to be up. And Ur is a big one because that's where you have the ziggurat.
Right.
Familiar with the ziggurat of Ur?
Not too much.
A little bit?
I've heard a little bit about them. Yeah.
Okay, so it's all in this general area, right? And they call this the cradle of civilization. That's what they call it.
And this is where?
This is in
Africa?
Mesopotamia. No, the Middle East.
Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So these statues were found somewhere around here, I guess. They have it. They got it highlighted here.
Interpretation. But many people have failed to really try and understand the time period they came from, the context in which they were discovered, the broader knowledge of the Ubaid culture, and they just say it looks alien.
That is wild. Look at that. It's almost like a lot of lizards have that big ridge, that crest that comes up. Even on dinosaurs, they have that large crest that comes up.
How do you know somebody was just making a clay person and it fell?
Well, of course, that's always the other side of the coin. How do we not know
somebody
that?
just had a great imagination, and during this time, I can just imagine how bored they were, not having any type of, or trying to find ways of entertaining themselves, and they
But do
made
you
these.
believe that?
I mean, I make stories up for my kids sometimes.
So
I'll
okay,
tell them,
let's clean the table, right?
when I tuck them in at night,
Look, check it out. So everything else aside, right? Just looking at that, do you believe that this is a figment of someone's imagination or somebody trying to replicate what was around at that time?
No, I'm definitely going to go with that theory.
The second part?
But you can't have a closed mind about all open. I mean,
I believe
all
that
thoughts.
that this is a replication of what was actually around. At the
because
time.
you know how how it goes. When you'll experience something,
Mhm.
right, and then you tell somebody else what you experienced, and then that person tells somebody else what someone experienced, and then
So you're saying the story kind of gets washed
and
as
then
it gets down,
as
it
it goes down,
hmm
the whole entirety of the story changes. And
But did you know that that's why they always found the most righteous and noble people to carry those stories down? That way their integrity keeps the story as it is.
yeah, in some cases, I believe that too. But I mean, you still can't take that out of the equation.
No, no.
Well, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna show us more examples.
So, to be thorough, let's take a closer look. Ophidian literally means like a snake in the shape of a snake. And as well as the elongated head, pointed nose and coffee bean eyes being snake-like, some of the figurines are painted dots on the torso, which have been identified as scale-like. That's really where the Ophidian terminology comes from.
So what do you think, like marking scales? They were trying to highlight, because that first one we looked at had all those bumps.
Yeah, I was peeping that. That was
Oh, there it is.
So
right
this was their way of showing that they had texture to them. They weren't.
Yes, which is pretty smart.
Yeah.
And it's actually nothing to do with context or anything else. It's just from how they look. In truth, although they do have a reptilian look, we don't know with any certainty
Sumerian goddess.
Yeah, it's
if
crazy.
that is what the ancient people were
Look at
trying
that.
to.
That's clearly a small child of the same species with that cranial, but it's a baby, so they don't have the headdress on or nothing.
It's crazy that they use the word like snake-like entities.
Yeah. I mean, they were trying to give you the best representation.
Didn't serpents get like forever cursed?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to Genesis, right? When the Lord God cursed the serpent in the garden, right? He
Yeah.
cursed the serpent to slither on its belly for the rest of its days.
All right.
So,
All right.
with that being said, and I've heard a lot of different arguments, a lot of different speculation, a lot of different
Yeah,
articles.
because some people don't even believe that the snake was on its belly.
Well, I mean, you have to think,
They think some people think the snake had they walked into the garden and was able.
Well, okay, so if the Lord cursed the snake to slither on its belly for the rest of its days, then it would imply that what? That the snake was upright at
It would
first.
imply that, but that right there. I mean, when you see something like this, how do you justify?
Have you seen those Adam and Eve, like those places that what's the word I'm looking for? They replicate like Bible stories and they build them, and you
No,
can go visit them.
no.
There's a exhibit that they have that has a replica of the tree of knowledge, right? And they have apples on the tree. Their interpretation, and I'm not sure what religious belief they fall under, but they have an upright reptile, snake-looking being that has two arms and you know two legs.
But don't you think it's crazy that the serpent was cursed in the Bible?
Hmm.
But we're seeing this right here, and they're having babies, drinking milk.
Yeah, and we don't see these anymore.
And the legs are long. The form of the bodies likely indicates youth or young adults. At the base, the feet are small and rounded,
Very
meaning
slim,
the
slender.
statuettes did not stand up. The figurines have clear similarities to ones found in central Mesopotamia, and these figurines are earlier, and are found at sites like Tel Songor, Chogamami.
Yeah, you see, we got a lot of different variants here. Different markings on this one. This one more has like almost like stripes going on its shoulder. It's a lot of different stuff here. Let's skip forward a little bit. So we have a lot of content we're going to get to.
Are being included in a handful of graves, but only in the later phases of the period. There is also evidence that some Ophidian figurines were fashioned, used and also discarded inside a settlement, and so many were never intended to be grave goods.
So just taking in what we just looked at, right?
Right.
What's your take on this, on the Ubaid statues of Mesopotamia? What do you think?
I
After
mean-
hearing everything, what do you think?
It's believable. It's believable. You don't have much of a choice other than to assume that something like this could have been around.
What's so interesting to me is that a lot of time has passed since these got found. They dug them up. They found them. I don't believe that ancient peoples really wasted resources and materials just to make toys, just to make like the guy said, they didn't find it in a child's grave. They didn't find it as anything like that. These are just actual representations of what they actually saw.
But I still have questions about
Well, what's your question?
why don't you think we see any of them today? They were so big back in the day. What happened to them?
Well, I believe that, well, it's not, I mean, I can only just come to this conclusion, if they're a lot more advanced than we are,
Right.
then there's no need for them to be on the scene. Because us as humans will just run that as it is. And then we can be controlled behind the scenes if they're still around.
But how? I mean, what benefits do they gain from not being on the scene?
What do you mean?
I mean, because it's not like they wouldn't be accepted by people. People are some.
But look at us
opening-
as we are now, bro. We can't even accept another human just because they're slightly different.
In what way?
In every way.
Nate, give me an
A
example.
race. You want more?
I guess. Yeah, you went too far with that one.
No, I'm just telling you the human nature
I think the
of
reptilians.
acceptance.
The reptilians are the reason why we believe in race today.
Are you familiar with the Dulce event?
No,
Okay. So what we're gonna get into now, it's a popular show.
they live in the
Came
middle of
out
the
a while
earth.
back. It is The Inside Job.
Oh, dude, this show is hilarious.
Yeah, we're gonna pull this up right quick on The Inside Job, and it's just a clip from The Inside Job. If y'all are familiar with this Netflix,
Netflix,
it's a big
funny
conspiracy
show.
show.
It's a big conspiracy show. The first episode is like straight Illuminati conspiracy, all in your face.
Everything they teach you in school is a lie. You want the truth? The world is controlled by shadowy elites and shape-shifting lizard people.
I'm deciding this is okay.
Yeah, this is all on Netflix.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. Oh, the gavel. Give me the gavel. Give me the gavel.
This is it. It's happening.
Oh, hello, HR. Who's ready for some gross misconduct?
I'm sorry, sir, but you tested positive for gonorrhea.
Motherfucker!
I wasn't done.
Oh, Netflix.
Oh yeah, look, you guys want some more of that? It's on Netflix.
We're not really gonna jump into that.
Inside
too much.
Job.
You know, we like to keep it clean here on Weekly Dose of Weird. But that's the inside job. And
He
that's
got
on Netflix.
Iguaneria.
That's a thing, buddy. So yeah, that clip aside, you know, and that's just to show that reptilians are talked about in all different shapes, forms. If you want to make fun of it, if you want to be serious about it, all the content's there. And while we're talking about this, let's just jump over right quick. And we just got a bunch of images. And what I like to do on almost every episode is use what we're talking about as a reference in ancient history, because I do thoroughly believe that ancient history has a lot to teach us. We can learn a lot from the past and we can apply that to the future. But we can go through a lot. And also what I wanted to bring up, there's a serpent deity in every culture. Every culture. There's a serpent deity. I could put all my money on it. There's a serpent deity in every culture. We got Egypt. That's usually one that's in Egypt. And the cobra. That's over, you know, it's got the headdress and everything. That's over the sun. You know, they got that. Forgot its name. But what else we got here? We have this here, which I don't, that's a scarab. That's not really reptilian. That's not really what we're looking for. What you got? What do you got here, Scotty?
I'm trying to see.
So we got Mayan. Like in Mayan, you have Mayan and Aztec. You have
they had serpents. They had. I thought they had dragons or something.
Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl.
Flying serpents, right?
The feathered serpent. The plume
feathered
serpent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's actually a pyramid of Mexico. It is the pyramid of the plume serpent, the feathered serpent.
Yeah, I heard a little
China.
bit about
What do we got in China? What's so prevalent in Chinese and Japanese? Dragons. You know,
and dragons can look like serpents. You know,
we just got all types of references. And another thing that I wanted to bring up briefly, I was trying to find more context on it, but in South Carolina, there was an incident that I believe it was in the 70s or the early 80s, where a man, I don't know if his car got messed up or, you know, something happened, and he was chased by a lizard man in South Carolina, reported it to the police, took a lie detector test, and passed the lie detector test about this whole incident. And there was another story where a mother was driving with her children and she hit a lizard man, or almost hit a lizard man, called in and reported it to the police. So there are reports in North America of lizard people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's reports.
I just need one person to get it on camera, like, and then upload it so we can all see it.
I mean, but just like, you know, we live in the world of where even if you do get it on video, I mean, you're gonna have that half of the party that's fake.
Yeah. First, like that video that we watched about the portals.
So, Scotty, if there was one name, let's say me and you, right? Let's say I don't know you from Adam and Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I come to you and I say, hey, man, I'm really interested in this reptilian topic. Is there somebody that you that you can what's the name?
I can answer that without you having to go any further. David Icke.
And what's so special about Mr. David Icke?
That boy, David Icke is renowned for his knowledge on extraterrestrials and just how the future is going to unfold. He's real big into aliens, reptilians. There's so much material on him talking about reptilian is it culture or
you can
the
say
reptilian culture.
I mean, you could say that.
You got something with David?
You
Icke?
got something.
I got some with David. Yeah, you're right. I got some with David Icke.
Let the people know what you got.
Look, we can pull it up right now if you want to go ahead and get it ready. This one right here is his take on the lizard, Illuminati, conspiracy theories. This is just one of many. He goes into a lot other things like there's this one thing called adrenochrome,
Okay.
and think about Monsters Inc.
Mhm.
How Monsters Inc. was scaring kids and filling up these things to keep the lights on in people's houses. Well, same thing with adrenochrome, and he goes into depth how the lizard people were harvesting this. You get it from the pineal gland or something like that, and
Oh, so this is going into
yeah, this goes in
It's
deep.
a
If
big
you
rabbit
guys want to hear more about adrenochrome and more on David Icke and lizard people, just drop a comment. Let us know, or if you guys have any other reference videos about stuff like that, drop a comment. Let us know. We'll go over it, and there'll be definitely be a part 2 to this if you guys are interested. But yeah, here we go. David Icke, Conspiracy of Lizard Illuminati.
Oh, that's
Go and check it out.
So we took a ferry to the Isle of Wight to spend the day with David Icke, Britain's leading conspiracy evangelist and the one man standing between us and total.
So we're just gonna skim through part 1. Part 2, I'm pretty sure you guys can find on YouTube. We're just gonna want to go over it and talk about it with y'all. So we're just gonna skim through part 1. It is an 8-9 minute video. So because we have so much more we want to talk about.
Enslavement. 1991, David Icke didn't believe in secret shape-shifting lizard fascists. He was a television celebrity. After arthritis had ended a promising career in football, he'd become a broadcaster. But that all ended in one remarkable appearance on the Terry Wogan Show.
David Icke.
In a turquoise tracksuit, he'd announced that he was the son of God, and the world would be ending that year. It didn't, and Icke seemed destined to disappear beneath a typhoon of public laughter. But Icke wouldn't disappear. He began to write. And over a series of increasingly successful books, he began to outline his philosophy. Humankind was not in charge of its destiny. It was the unwitting prisoner of a race of shape-shifting lizards who occupied the roles in the highest echelons of society. From presidents to royal families, all trusted public figures were secretly part of a reptilian, Satanist pedophile group who had been on this planet for centuries.
So do you subscribe to that? Do you believe that the people that are in power, do you believe that they are some type of reptilian? Do you remember all them little videos where it shows like somebody's eye twitching or somebody glitching out?
So
and
someone
all this
glitching
stuff?
out, or they're blinking and
Their pupil
eye
dilates to a
Yeah.
slit.
I've actually seen some of those videos. Some of those actually look pretty real.
Do they really?
Yeah, they do look pretty. There are some where it's like you can see like there was like some type of overlay or some type of.
I mean, it's getting to the
glitch.
point where how the hell are we gonna tell?
There's really no way of knowing what's real and what's fake. You know, we're talking about Illuminati. We're talking about.
There's so many like twists and turns that
we're
we
talking.
can go.
Yeah, we're talking about lizard people.
Where else around the world are you familiar with lizards or reptilians or snakes or whatever being put on the level of a deity? Like where can
So
you
got
think?
you got Samaria. You got parts of Africa. You got India.
India is a big one.
Yeah.
India is huge with that.
Yeah, they're real big into serpents too, aren't they?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Don't
And
they have
they're called the Nagas.
the Nagas? Don't
They're
they?
called
Don't,
the Naga
yeah,
race.
those are deities, right? They're
Yeah.
gods that some of them they worship and stuff.
A lot of their deities have multiple arms.
Yeah, like 2 arms on each side or something like that.
Well, a lot of
right?
them had 4.
4 arms on each
Yeah.
side.
Well, no, not 4 on each side, but
2 and 2.
2 and 2.
Yeah. Okay,
just like
so
we
that's
got
what
2.
that's what I remember seeing. I remember seeing.
But a majority of the deities are pictured with some type of serpent,
Right.
mainly cobras. So that's really big in India, and they have these serpent beings called the Nagas, which we're about to take a look right now. And so yeah, we're just showing y'all in India, it's really really big over there, and this video is gonna touch more on what the Nagas actually are.
Somebody in the chat said Namekians.
The Namekians.
We got Namekians here on Earth.
Piccolo, he's not a
Piccolo. I mean, we don't know.
Not a reptoid. I mean, he could be.
We don't know what Namekians are. They're green.
They're green. They have the little.
They have that what's his attack where he can extend his arm, and he can regrow his limbs. What other reptile regrows their limbs? Almost all of them, don't they? Lizards regrow their tail.
Majority of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But that is a good point, though. And he turned orange.
Damn, I don't think nobody. Hey, look, you saw it here first on.
Well, actually, no. Somebody in the comments really.
They just put the name. They put the name. They get the credit.
You got to think about that. Namekians.
They get that little bit of credit. Namekians.
Namekians.
Reptilians or not?
Now let's get into this right
in
here.
Hindu
Check it out.
mythology, Jain Dharma, and Buddhist tradition of India, they are both feared and honored in the form.
Okay,
and this
so
is like a
this
common
one has
theme.
3 on each arm, on each side.
Yeah, he's got a little more.
I think this is the picture I was talking about. Anyway,
this one right here.
Yeah,
there was a guy, bro. I can't remember his name. David Wilcox, right? He was really big. He was on Ancient Aliens, and he came up with an interesting point. This is totally off topic, but he had an interesting point. He said that these deities didn't really have multiple arms. They had 2 arms, but they were moving in and out of a dimensional space. So that phasing of them moving in and out of that space gave the illusion, like let's just say Bruce Lee, right? You know, the whole scene where he moves his hand and then it kind of waves it off so it looks like he has multiple hands. That was his theory of these Hindu gods, of why they look that way.
Interdimensional beings.
Yeah, and they were kind of in and out between 2 worlds at the same time.
That would look freaky, wouldn't it?
It would.
In real life?
It would.
How would you react if you saw that?
Don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know, bro. I mean, DMT was one thing, but
that's a whole nother segment right there.
We'll get to that. But let's jump back.
The Nagas. Nagas and the feminine Nagini.
That face. Don't that kind of hit like those statues we saw, minus the big crest?
Yeah.
You know, just something to think about.
Are semi-divine creatures depicted as part human and part snake, particularly king cobras and Indian pythons. Some are depicted as having the bodies of humans, but with snake heads. Some are.
And what did we just look at, Scotty? Figures with the bodies of humans with snake heads. Something to think about.
Yeah. And depicted as having 5, 7, or even more snake heads sprouting from their backs. Regardless of their outward appearance, all Nagas are clever, skilled in magic, powerful shapeshifters, and have notoriously short fuses. The Nagas are established as the enemies of Garuda, a man.
Yeah, which is Are you familiar with that book at all?
No, this is my first time.
So it's a Hindu. It's a holy scripture.
Yeah,
it's a Hindu holy scripture. And before I became a Christian, I was really big on this type of stuff, right? And the stories that are in there, they have this eagle creature that constantly harasses this certain group of Nagas, right? And it's wild, but it's something to look at, and that was being talked about for thousands upon thousands of years.
Man and bird of prey hybrid creature, cousin of the Nagas, and deemed superior in power to them. Garuda and the Nagas become embroiled in conflict of their respective mothers, resulting in Garuda being bound in servitude to Vishnu. When he is ultimately released, he still carries a grudge against the Nagas forever, and views them from that point on as prey.
So yeah, I mean, not going too far because they're kind of just regurgitating the same information, but reptiles in general, really big all around the world.
All around the world.
All around the world.
So you tell me, what do you think? Do you believe in reptilians?
Well, yeah, I mean, I believe in reptilians, but going on just what we just saw, just that video from right there, we're going into where there's a whole culture on the other side of the world that is, deifies these type of things. And they believe wholeheartedly in these type of things. Just like the way I wholeheartedly believe in what I believe in, they wholeheartedly believe in this stuff too. So there has to be some type of, as far as like believing, as far as some type of truth to what's going on. I mean, because some of the structures that are in India, they're magnificently carved, they're beautiful, a A lot of times we don't even know how they were built.
Yeah,
Just the way that they
we
look.
can't even replicate how they
And
did it.
The snakes over there, they're humongous.
It's
even in Sri Lanka and Angkor Wat.
Oh yeah.
There's all types of multi-headed snakes.
Multi-headed. They have statues of these things there.
And you brought this video to my attention earlier, and that's what we're gonna look at next. It's called "The Real Origin of Lizard People: Conspiracy Theory."
Yeah. So it's just a little video, just like the other ones. We'll skim through it, get to the juicy parts. We'll let you guys know what the video is, just in case if you want to go and watch it for its entirety. But yeah.
Do you think this video would fall more along the lines of what David Icke was trying to?
Yeah, this is
the message he was trying to convey.
This is going to go into depth about what David Icke believes.
Okay, so if this message is similar to what David Icke's message is, we're just gonna casually just go through it.
You walk through the streets surrounded by people. Everyone seems normal, just going about their day. Or are they? You've heard things and you can't help but wonder, are all the people surrounding you what they appear to be? Or are there some otherworldly beings wearing human disguises living among us? And
just right quick, have you ever ran across anybody who just gave off that NPC type of vibe? I mean, like, not just like that guy, maybe he could be an NPC. I mean, somebody who's like, hey, man, you know what? Damn it, that person right there is an NPC.
Okay, look, a real quick story. I was in JROTC in high school, and I befriended this guy, and he claimed to be Indian. But not like, he was Native American, Blackfoot, I believe.
Okay.
And this dude, let me see, I was in like 10th grade, so we were like 14, 15 years old, around that time. Not sure, it was a long time ago, way back in the day. But this dude it was weird how strong he was. And he would make references like, and true story, he would make references like, that he was Native American, but his bloodline was of some ancient reptilian culture.
That's what he said?
Yeah, this is what he said. But when I tell you 14, 15 years old, and this dude being able to bench, like, I don't know, I think the max was like maybe 200 that someone could bench at our age. Okay, and when I mean like maybe 200, 2 or 3 times. My son is like 13 and he can bench 190, so this is not too far off. This dude was doing almost 300 pounds. I'm talking about 265, 275, and he was our age. Dude was fast. It was.
So you think he had reptilian blood?
This was a person. No, to answer your question, if I ever came across somebody that just he gave me always. He was cool people, never mean or anything like that. But he always just gave this weird vibe of just being extremely different for some reason. Like your hairs would stand up. You would get the feeling like this guy was different.
Okay.
True story.
That's interesting.
That is a true story.
That's interesting.
Plotting against us. It's one of the most popular and terrifying conspiracy theories around. Are there actually lizard people living among us and possibly secretly ruling us? The idea is simple. We're not the only intelligent life in the universe. There is a species of highly intelligent, highly ambitious alien beings out there. But instead of evolving from primates like we did, it's not mammalian at all. These beings are reptilian and are believed to be either shapeshifters or masters of disguise that allows them to take on human appearances and infiltrate human society. But we don't have to be worried about alien invasion because the invasion is supposedly already here and has been for a very long time. But is there any truth to this conspiracy theory? And how did it begin? The origins likely draw back not to the events in our world, but to the world of fiction. In his short but prolific career as a writer, Robert E. Howard created many of the most lasting concepts in fantasy fiction, but the very first inspiration might have come much earlier, and it may bring another iconic mystery. The Secret Doctrine, a book by Russian philosopher Helena Blavatsky, is hard to classify.
Are you familiar with her at all?
No, this is my first time hearing about it.
Yeah, she had some type of order, almost like a secret society going on, and the name's not coming to me right now, but she wrote a lot of articles about Hindu stuff that was going on. They had like the Vril Society from Nazi Germany. They were tied into a lot of stuff, and she's like a really, really big occultist.
Okay.
That's because it was classified as non-fiction, but most analysts believed it contained mostly fiction. A combination of modern science and ancient occult concepts, it claimed to represent the wisdom of the ages and spoke of ancient lost civilizations in Atlantis and Lemuria. While Blavatsky's book has been widely discredited, this concept has stuck around far longer than the rest of her ideas. So how do these literary ideas make the jump into our world? One of the big tipping points was when a mysterious incident happened in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, officially classified as an Air Force balloon crash near a ranch. It became the launch for a million conspiracy theories about alien UFOs coming to Earth, and just as many claims of other sightings and even alien abductions. It was 1967, and Herbert Schirmer was a police officer in Ashland, Nebraska. The man had been having strange dreams and flashbacks, so he sought the help of a hypnotist. While under hypnosis...
You believe in hypnosis?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
What is it? What, I can say yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything that can discredit like what I think about hypnosis.
What do you think a subliminal message is?
Could be a form of hypnosis.
I
Possibly.
definitely believe.
I mean, possibly because it's tapping into something to get you to think about something else.
Yeah.
Without directly telling you to think about that. Which hypnosis is weird, bro. We should do an episode on just strictly hypnosis.
Hypnosis, like,
if any of y'all know a hypnotist,
no,
I mean, would you be willing to be hypnotized on the show?
I would do it. I'll do it.
If anybody knows an actual hypnotist, not a BS one, like a real hypnotist,
I don't want to.
Scotty wants to get hypnotized on the show.
I'll do it, but look, I've seen Stir of Echoes. Okay, don't be opening up any doors in my mind, not closing them correctly, and then I gotta solve a murder case. I don't want to deal with none of that. Okay, and if you haven't seen Stir of Echoes, it's a great movie with that dude Kevin Bacon.
Oh, I love Stir of Echoes.
Yeah,
it took me a minute. I was going through my head. I was like,
yeah, he got hypnotized.
Yeah,
and a bunch of stuff was happening. Anyway,
but so we're both in agreement that we do believe that hypnosis is a real thing.
Do you believe hypnosis is a real thing?
In the context that it's being used in, yeah.
Okay.
But it's to me, I find it's super weird how being hypnotized, it will unlock some type of core memory or.
So do you think a person could tick-tock a clock in front of you and then
I've never been hypnotized.
Fingers? I think it's all a belief thing too.
I've never been hypnotized.
Maybe if you believe you're being hypnotized, you'll become hypnotized.
Maybe it's like this, bro. Like, so you think that it's BS, but then when someone actually wants to hypnotize you, you're like, nah, I'm good. No, thank you.
You think so? Magicians use hypnotism all the time. Have you ever seen the movie called Now You See Me? Now You See Me? I think that's the name of the movie. And there are these magicians using persuasion or some force of hypnosis persuasion to get a person to do what they want them to do without even.
Do you think we're under mass hypnosis right now?
Oh yeah, that's a whole
mass hypnosis
level.
That's wild. Let's get back into here because I just keep seeing hypnosis.
Yeah.
Maybe the word. Look, I'm already hypnotized.
I'm hypnotized. Look at this
right now.
Yellow and.
He recalled being abducted by aliens and taken on a UFO. His description of the aliens gained larger attention. He said they had reptilian features and more significantly reported they had a military-style emblem of a winged serpent on their chest. But is there any real evidence of evolved secret reptiles living among us? So how did this conspiracy theory jump the line into a major belief? Sometimes all it takes is one charismatic believer to get everyone else on board. And the lizard people found their believer in the form of...
Look how they got your boy David Icke. I like little animation shorts like this. I really do. I feel like, it's really good content and the visuals it's pleasing to the eye. So You know, whoever made this, shout out to whoever made this, because these little edits are dope.
Of British radio host David Icke. Originally a footballer and sports broadcaster, he soon started expressing beliefs and bizarre theories and using his platform as a radio host to spread them.
Let's jump forward a little bit since we just touched up on David Icke.
Yeah,
we'll jump forward just a little bit for the sake of time, because that's something we are running out of here.
A powerful ruling family responsible for uniting much of Europe starting in the 5th century. In more modern times, the list supposed
which the Da Vinci Code, the whole Merovingian family, they claim to be from the bloodline of Jesus and all that. So
hey,
I don't really
I would
subscribe to all that, because at the end of the day, you do need to remember that the Da Vinci Code is found in the fiction section of your local Barnes and Nobles. Look, and people will swear to this day that that book is in fact true.
But just that would definitely
bringing that up though.
Bloodlines. Let that
the
be
bloodlines.
Let that be our next. Well, maybe not our next
Not
one,
the
but
next
let it be the near future bloodlines, because reptilians will be brought up again. These famous families that they spoke of will be brought up again, and there are 4 or 5 ancient bloodlines that still are among us now. I'm just letting you know right now. We won't go too much.
Can just for the sake, like for viewers' sake, can you give us an example of one of the bloodlines that you think right now that's
Rothschilds?
Rothschild. Okay, yeah, I can agree with you on that one.
Rothschilds, and that's a taste of the icing. That's not even part of the cake.
How much money do you think they have? I mean, because that name goes through history for a long time. The Rothschilds.
Money and Rothschilds don't even need to be in the same sentence together.
But unfortunately, it is.
But it's more like, what do they own?
What do they own is a big one.
Not forget about money. What do they own? They own countries.
Dude,
they own countries.
Like, my brain is just not working at 100%, dude. Like, okay, so I brought it up early, the Dulce, New Mexico thing. There was like, so I'm just gonna try to tell the story off the top of my head.
Okay.
And if you guys know, go down in the comments, let us know the full story or links or whatever. I'm sure it's on YouTube. But this worker, he worked as a geographer. He worked with the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they dug holes, and he was in charge of all that. And he's been doing this for a long time in geography, I guess.
Yeah.
And he worked for the government, and they dug down in Dulce, and he had a firefight with what he described as like a reptilian being. And he's missing like this, or he got killed, right?
Right.
He was missing like all these fingers right here, because he said they got blown off by some type of laser device that this being had.
Crazy.
In Dulce, New Mexico.
Crazy.
Right, but there's something that we want to close with.
Yeah. Okay, so
tell us about it, Scott.
So this is from NBC News back in 2020, 2021.
Okay.
We'll go over a little bit about it. I'll let you guys know where you can find it.
Let us know what we got here, Scott.
So this is from Think NBC. All right. We're trying to get better at getting credited sources here now. So this is about a rioters, right, in Nashville, right? Bombers' lizard people theory is deadly serious. Go ahead, scroll down. We'll go ahead and read this out loud for you guys, okay? The deadly Capitol siege was fueled by far-out conspiracy theorists, including Ashley
Babbitt.
Ashley Babbitt, okay?
What a name.
So Ashley Babbitt was trying to convince people about shape-shifting, blood-sucking reptilian humanoids that were invading or taking control of the human race, okay? But let me tell you, she believed this so much, and this is what makes it weird, right? It makes this whole situation weird because we don't see a lot of hard evidence, or if there is hard evidence, it's hard to make truth of that evidence because we're not supposed to believe everything we see and everything we hear and so forth. But it was so real for this young lady that she blew up some things. She blew up.
She blew something up in
She blew-
response to?
Yeah,
was she under the belief
trying to
that
make she was under the belief that the world was being, or the world is being taken over by reptilians. Okay, and she wanted to make an impact, and her way of making an impact was bombs. And in doing so, I want to say like 40. Look, there. Look, another Babylonian Brotherhood reference
Babylonian
right there.
Brotherhood?
Yeah. So 40 buildings were damaged, and only a handful. You know, thank the man upstairs. Only a few of people. I don't think anybody died, but there were a few people that got hurt. But she was able to cause some damage, and in doing so, this was the message she was trying to get out.
Okay.
So this is the article right here. If you guys want to look more into it, again,
And this
it's
is on what? Who?
NBC.com/think /think, and then you can just put in the search bar bombers, lizard people, and it's going to bring you right to it. Again, this happened, I think there's a date on here, sometime in 2021, January 12th, 2021.
There it is.
When this is up there. So we'll try to put that link in the bottom.
Well, Scotty, what an episode. Lizard people. I had a lot of fun.
I'm really interested in maybe, I don't know, chat. Our weird audience, let us know if this is something you want us to touch more about, go into depth about. I mean, again, there's so much. Like, we only touch the surface on these things. We don't ever get to go in depth a whole lot, because man, that's going to be whole lot of editing, honestly. But second parts, third parts, however many parts you guys want us to go into more in depth about these things. I love stuff like this.
I do too, and that's why we're here. Weekly Dose of Weird. It's your boy L.
You got your boy Scott.
And we thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. We'll see y'all next weekend.
Don't forget, same time, same place. Peace out.